Welcome back. We are talking about my favorite trifecta of lenses that I carry around with me almost every single shoot. So you might be wondering what my favorite lenses are, and I think I've narrowed it down to my top 3 lens choices. Been a big fan of the Sigma line of lenses, and they've been a little bit cheaper than the Canon first-party lenses, and the optical quality has been great. I've narrowed it down to kind of the holy trinity of lenses, if you will. So I have the 24-70. This is my favorite kind of all-around lens. I use this for a lot of weddings, when you need to do like the group shot, and then you also want to squeeze in and get like a tighter, like, you know, head and shoulders maybe. Another one of my favorite lenses, this beast, is the 70-200 f2.8, and I got this to rent from a local camera shop right before I was going to Alaska. I figured I needed something a little bit more in the telephoto range, so I picked it up and ended up not returning it and just buying it. And it's been a favorite ever since. I like that it's a 2.8 lens, so you get that, you know, shallower depth of field, but in conjunction with the, you know, at the 200 millimeter focal length, it's just the autofocus, the bokeh, it's fantastic. I use that lens a lot. My third favorite lens is one that I just recently picked up. That is the Sigma 14-24 f2.8. So that kind of rounds out my whole lineup from 14 millimeters all the way to 200. And this one is actually really cool because you got that super wide angle. Look at just the front element of that thing. That thing is massive. Gives you a really fun perspective, and I usually don't shoot a lot of wide angle, but if you are backed into a corner, and I found myself in this position many times, the extra just width that you're able to get is really helpful, and it actually has a lot of fun perspective. Gives you a different perspective when you're shooting, so I've really enjoyed photographing with this. I recently did a photo shoot, kind of like a Western themed photo shoot with Haley, and I got to use all these lenses, but my two ones that I used a lot were the 70-200 as well as the 24-70, especially once we got into the barn. It was a lot of closer quarters, not a lot of room to, you know, use that longer focal length. And I did use the 14-24, but just for a couple of shots. It was a big open space, and it was just wanting the background to be compressed. And so those longer focal lengths were more of what I was using. But yeah, take a look at some of the images we got. Can you bring your left hand maybe on top of your... That's good. Kind of looking over your left shoulder. There you go. I do enjoy all of my lenses. They're very well made. They're optically just like perfect. But a downside is that they are extremely heavy. They are very, very heavy. These are the EF variations of the lens. as they don't have RF glass for Canon yet. They don't have the they have the crop sensor RF mounts, but they don't have the full frame yet. But so I have these lenses, and they are adapted with the RF to EF adapter, and I have the one with the drop-in filter, which is very nice. So I do love the Sigma lenses. They are optically very, very nice. They are well made, good metal construction for the bodies, but that in turn makes them extremely heavy. They are the heaviest thing in my kit, probably just behind my 600 watt light, which is saying something, right? If you have to carry, especially this guy, if you're carrying this around attached to your camera body through all day for a wedding, it gets very, very heavy. But hopefully, if Sigma gets permission to create the RF for the full frame for the Canon mirrorless, I will definitely be looking into that to lighten up my load just a little bit. But yeah, we use these lenses for the photo shoot, and I am definitely a fan. Now, I have used Canon lenses in the past, and they're good quality, right? And they're definitely lighter, especially the 70-200. I've used, that big white lens. Looks like the 70-200 Canon version that looks like this, the big white lens that you see out in the wild. These are great optically as well, and they are significantly lighter than the Sigma variation. But I just have I believe this is like version 1. I have not had any issues with the Sigma lenses at all. I like that I can get image stabilization on top of the IBIS. Really helps to stabilize hand holding, especially with my mirrorless camera. That's very useful. So I just wanted to show you maybe a little sneak peek into some of the gear that I use. Maybe I'll go more in depth with like cameras, maybe some more of my lenses, or I'll do like an in-depth review of each of these lenses if you're interested. But as a whole, these three lenses, the 14-24, the 24-70, and the 70-200 Sigma lenses, are pretty much always in my bag, unless I force myself not to carry them. But these are, if I know I have these in my bag, I can capture pretty much anything along that spectrum in focal length. So yeah, if you can follow, ring the bell somewhere around here, follow, like, subscribe, that would be very helpful. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to see some more of what's in my kit, what kind of stuff that I use camera-wise, lenses, lighting, modifiers, anything like that. So yeah, drop a comment, and I'll see you next time.